Kate Donnelly. Dmitry, if you would come, and you're going to be speaking about the community garden in Middletown, right? Kate is going to speak about a survey that was sent out in her town. She's the former first selectman of Hampton and sent out a survey to her residents. And then maybe Chuck Litty could tell us about his EV showcase. Would that be all right? And Henry Pietras, if you could tell us a little bit about Brookfield and the new school construction. So everybody's got a couple minutes, if that's all right? Thank you.
Thank you, Patrice. My name's Kate Donnelly. I'm the chair of our Green Energy Committee, formerly the solarized person, so I know a lot of you from your towns. We've had an energy committee for about 10 years now. When I was first selectman, that was the first thing I did, and I also funded it, so we have a few $1,000s every year to spend. We have done a lot. We've done energy efficiency in all town buildings. Granted, we don't have very many town buildings, but we've got solar and energy efficiency on all of them. We've done a couple of film series. We worked in the local park in our town, the state forest, and did a film series. We've had 3 energy fairs. We've had car shows. We've had a new solar farm going in, should be operational in the summer. So we're all like, we've done a lot. What are we going to do now? So Bernie came out to our town and inspired us with the 100% campaign. And we've got the data around how much energy we use in our town. So we want to figure out how to offset that with clean energy. So, it's really hard after doing things over and over again for a number of reasons. You get wary of doing them. It's like, we're going to do that again. And also it's, people get tired of us. So, so we wanted to do something that would give buy-in, and what a better way to get people involved, but then to ask them things. I mean, sometimes we forget that. We're always like giving information. So we wanted to ask information. So we sent out an energy survey to all the members of our town, and that budget that we had was able to pay for it. We asked 12 questions, and we got a lot of information. We got information about what's the primary, we got 25% return, which we think is quite good for a survey. So we got information about what energy sources people use. A lot of people use wood stoves. That was our second highest category of heat in our town, which is not really registered on any documents from the assessor's office or anything. We found out that 80% of the people had insulation in their attics, 79% had insulation in their walls. Not very many people about 30% had done the HES program, and that a lot of people had a lot of cars, but they didn't drive a lot of miles. So even though some people had like 5 cars, we're rural, people have big driveways and a lot of cars sit in them. They weren't using as much mileage as we thought. So all those were really, really helpful to us in sort of preparing where we're going to go and how we're going to try to offset that. And the other thing that we asked is what people would like to see presented. So we had a lot of responses around energy efficiency and solar, films, and I can't even remember the rest of them, but people said what they were interested in. So we're putting together a series of programs starting in December to June based on what people said they wanted to see. And we're going to start it off with what the results of the survey were and what we're doing in Hampton, and then move forward. People like to be asked, and so we are happy that they told us exactly what they want to do, and a few things they're not interested in anymore, which me neither. But and we also asked if anyone wanted to be a member of our task force. We have a 9-person task force. And we had 3 people who volunteered. Now, we have a really tiny town, so it's 750 households. But we still got 3 people interested in joining our committee, which is really instrumental in keeping the momentum going over time. So we just decided we had to get over ourselves and start doing some of the things again that we had already done that we're all kind of sick of doing, but realize how important they are, like energy efficiency and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we did. I have Surveys, if I have a couple, if anyone wants them, or I can send them out electronically. But we found that it was a really good way to engage people, because sending out a press release and getting it in the paper, not a lot of people read them, and not a lot of people subscribe to the local papers in our towns. So we wanted to, hit them directly. And that's it. Thanks.
Yeah.
We have, she's a former PTA chair named Tammy Thornton. And some of you may be getting familiar with her because she started a regional zero waste schools initiative. So we are learning all kinds of things in school cafeterias, how kids understand or do not understand about composting. So if somebody's not going to eat their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, that doesn't mean that they can put it in the plastic bag in the composting. And we also found that elementary school kids like to be able to see where their waste food is going. They need to be able to see it go in, right? So these are the kinds of things that we're learning in Wilton, and we're expanding this. Tammy Thornton has now a Zero Waste Schools Coalition, and there are 40 different school districts in the region, including some in New York, Mamaroneck, New York, et cetera. There's a program next month. So if anybody's interested in taking this on, it's a great way to teach kids about sustainability when they're in the schools and they're having lunch and they figure out, this is how we reduce waste, and let's try to get to zero waste. And then they take that home and they tell their parents, why are you wasting fuel? Why don't you turn your car off? Why are we wasting sunshine? Why don't we have solar? So, it's a great catalyst for more discussion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dmitry D-Allessandro. I'm a member of the Middletown Clean Energy Task Force for about 6 or 7 years now. I don't honestly remember. My whole life is a giant blur, and I'm very happy about that. I don't want to remember most of it, in all honesty. We've been working on a lot of different projects. My takeaway, we always tried to push really hard at the city level, at the municipal level, and we never got really the things we wanted. Fleet conversions, right? We never got real building conversions where we're not building new municipal construction without fossil fuels of some variety because everyone thinks we need them still, right? And as part of our Sustainable Middletown process, we spawned a food policy council. And the Food Policy Council had been existing in a sort of intangible or an incomplete form as part of the mayor's Ending Childhood Hunger Task Force. But it wasn't comprehensive or complete. Food policy at a municipal level is very complicated, right? I've been trying to figure out ways to help people have better food access and food equity, which is similar to what Clean Water Action does, right? On a state level, food policy should exist within all municipalities, right? And help define things like, what do we do with our compost? Instead of burning it, could we keep it within our town and somehow use it or sell it? There's a lot of things that can happen within food policy that are not obvious when you first think food policy, right? As a member of the North End Action Team, which is a 20-something year organization in Middletown, we have several small community gardens, and we always outstrip the demand, meaning that there's typically a waiting list at our primary community garden, which is on Aaron Street. Our smaller community gardens just don't have that many plots in it, so it's always going to be full. And there's a third garden which is essentially disused, but it's pretty, and someone mows it, and there's some statues and weird stuff in there, and a crab apple or whatever, right? But we never really could actually fully, realize granting land access to the number of people we could serve in Middletown. Middletown's got a lot of people, especially concentrated in the downtown area. So I live in this crazy neighborhood, and I pulled up this thing on Gmail here, which is a screenshot I took of a map. And this is a map of our newest community garden, which we are in the process of negotiating the lease for. The lease is for 25 years with a 25-year option. It's 8 acres of land, so it's 208,000 square feet. That's $1 an acre a year. So the first 25-year term will be $200, and the second 25-year option will be another $200. This is just a rough outline showing the distances around the perimeter. And if I know how to use a computer, here is a satellite view. At the bottom right corner, does anyone have a pointer thingy? I don't either. Ooh, where? This? Okay. Bottom right corner, you can see the road, right? Crossing there, and it says Main Street, but that's the bridge. Right, so that's the Aragoni Bridge. And I don't think this works, so I'm not going to fool with it. I'll use the mouse instead. This is my house, or maybe this one. Yeah, I can't see from that angle. This is a small field in the center of the park. It's a city-run park. It was originally named Roosevelt Park. It was very popular in the 40s and 50s. There were baseball diamonds there. There wasn't a highway there. So we, basically the city let this park degenerate, right? They abandoned it. They mow it once in a while. It's tick city. There's invasives all through it. And it's on the edge of a floodplain. To the north, you can't see in this picture, the confluence of the Coggins and Mattabesset rivers. This is an amazing wildlife area. It's one of the few inland freshwater tidal marshes, essentially, or swamp. It's called the Great Boggy Marsh, if you know the old names of things. So our plan is to take this field area in the center and leave it as a field, because it's a park, and we want people to come and play and enjoy the park. And we have plenty of space to plant things in the area that I've delineated around the edges. And so we will keep the park as a viable park for families and kids specifically. And around the perimeter, we will begin developing a permaculture food forest, which will be a eventually zero maintenance food production forest for anyone who wants to come and have a plot. We probably will sell plots for an annual fee just to have like some scratch to keep things mowed and mulched and whatever. We're not going to have to do a lot of mulching or things like that. Permaculture pretty much cares for itself. And so just to wrap up, we're all super excited. I'm being like green lighted and fast tracked through the city channels, which I would like keep pinching myself. I'm like, well, eventually I'll wake up and it's gonna suck again, right? But it hasn't yet, and like keep your fingers crossed, we'll roll on through, right? And where did I put my shovel? Oh, so just lastly to wrap up, right? As Alex mentioned, we're holding a series of really big events in the coming weeks. So October 5th kicks off at the Max 650 Art Gallery. We're going to have a massive paint party. We're getting Lowe's and Home Depot to donate shovels. And people can come and buy a shovel and paint it. And then a week later, on October 12th, we're going to auction everything that gets painted off. We're not just going to have shovels. We're going to have baby pumpkins. We're going to have windows and doors. That'll be painted by graffiti artists and like some actually serious artists. I own an art business in Middletown on Main Street. It's Middletown Framing. Hi, the plug. Come see me if you need framing. Not ashamed at all. And so we're building these series of events. On the 12th, during the day, there'll be an urban farming symposium that has the support of the Economic Development Commission in Middletown. It also has the support of Wesleyan Green Fund, the College of the Environment. We have amazing keynote speakers. And then on the 13th, on the rooftop of the Community Health Center, which is a massive, beautiful engineered garden space. If anyone's ever not been there, you should make it to Middletown. We're having a giant, like a fashion show and wrap-up brunch party with lots of champagne, so not to be missed. Thanks all so much.
So unlike Kate, Southbury is a town that is really not doing much. And I've been trying to change that a little bit. I've been busy for the last couple of years. When I retired, I went back to school and I got a degree in sustainable design. So I really couldn't put much focus on this. But now that I have a little bit more time, I've begun doing a few things in town. And one is I'm working with the municipal leaders, just kind of laying the groundwork, dollars and cents kind of approach to get them to take some action and rekindle the Energy Commission that died out a few years ago. So hopefully we'll get somewhere with that. But I came to the conclusion pretty early on that we needed a two-prong approach in town. And one is, of course, this approach from the municipal leaders to get the Energy Task Force going again. The second is more around popular support to put political pressure on our leaders to do things. And that's what gave rise to the second prong. We just recently organized the Southbury Energy Fair and Green Expo. It was our first event, so it was a real learning experience for me. We organized it pretty quickly as these events go. Thanks to the expertise of many in this room, in this network, they kind of helped and guided us through this. And we learned it was typically a year-long process to organize one of these events. We spent about 2-3 months doing it. So it's a good thing I'm retired. It was pretty much a full-time job for me. But it turned out to be a great event. We had 4 major threads in it. One was around energy conservation. The second was around clean energy, eco-action. And we had an eco-village aimed at telling people the everyday things they can do in their lives to be more sustainable. So I wanted that balance of networks, of different threads, so that people could learn many different ways and to broaden the appeal of the event. So we had somebody there with a clicker. We had about 400 to 500 people attend the event, so we were very happy with that. I learned more about Facebook than I ever wanted to, because that was our target demographic, and we did a lot of advertising. And Facebook is a weird monster, but we'll just leave that where that is. The other thing I'm doing, and we were promoting this at the event, is I'm trying to form a new group. It's called Sustainable Southbury. It's built on the Sustainable CT network, framework, I should say. And you know, I was a little bit involved. I was on the Land and Natural Resources Committee that when we formed Sustainable CT, so I think it's a great framework. And but you know, for a town like Southbury, I know we're a little bit bigger than Kate's, but I came to the conclusion it's just too small to do this on your own, right? So the idea is we'll be the boots on the ground helping our municipal leaders do more sustainable actions in the town. I'm looking for volunteers. I can, you know, I have some further information, or let me know if you need more people. I'm trying to source people. We may have sourced some people in the fair itself. I had a booth there in addition to organizing the event. So it was pretty successful that way. We'll see how it goes in getting the town to do some more action. And to what Patrice said earlier, we fortunately scheduled this the same week as National Drive Electric Week. So we ended up getting something like 20 different EV owners to register and come to the event. It was great. We lined them all right up at the entrance, and they put all their hoods up, and we had the Tesla doing the gull wing thing, and you know, it really made a kind of a splash, and it was an unexpected bonus to the people, and I think it helped draw in more participants to the event as well. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Henry Pietras from Brookfield. I'll make it real quick, so I have 2 minutes. First of all, the Brookfield Ad Hoc Energy Committee is now the Brookfield Energy Advisory Board, so we have some oomph, some power, finally, and that was due to our Democratic friends who wrote an ordinance which made us a full-fledged energy board. Effectively, immediately, use of Roundup has been stopped.
Wow.
Done through and it's not me. It wasn't me. It was somebody. Somebody wrote an ordinance, which the selectmen read and immediately approved. It was mind blowing. Okay.
Wow.
So guys, an idea, please. Okay. Also, another idea. The new school, Brookfield is replacing 2 schools with 1. And there's a lot of conversation. I've gone to all the municipal building board meetings as well as the town selectmen and so on, making sure that, you know, they You know, they don't pull anything as far as the RFPs are concerned. I've looked at how they process the RFPs. It was not as good as what Kate did with, you know, with Energize Brookfield. But I attended and I listened, and now I have some ammunition to push back when the time comes. But they did present a design for the new school on Thursday. It was the first one of 3. And I mean, there's many ideas I could put on the table. There's a lot of ideas put out by NEEP, who's got a 300-page document. But within 2 minutes, the requirement is that it's a public good requirement. Let's build a net zero school without poison gas.
Wow.
Okay? And I do have support. And I find that we're doing this one person at a time. I've made friends with someone who's on the NBC, happens to be a nuclear power engineer who's built plants all over the world, including China, and done waste to you know, energy power plants and so on. So we're having a conversation. I think it's in a good direction. Now, anyone who has done net zero, we need hard data, okay? Specifically, we need cost of the installation and ongoing operating costs. And of course, the installation includes, as you know, ground source heat pumps include not just heating and cooling, but also hot water. Okay, so with one set of equipment, you can do all 3 things all at once, okay? And all you have to do is provide electricity to run it, which is PV. So we need hard data. If anybody's got hard data, I reach out to you. By the way, we reached out to DEEP on that a specific question, one of our members of the energy group. And I have the letter, but it was disappointing as far as I can say, okay? The answer was a citing of a marketing study done by Yale. And Woody Weiss tells me that that's obsolete, okay? So we need real hard data, and DEEP isn't helping.
Reach out to Passive House.
Sorry?
Reach out to Passive House. They may have some.
Oh, by the way, I met Chuck and Patrice at his energy event last week.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Well, no problem. It was 2 of us. In addition, I just want to share something because my daughter works with this organization, and this is from New York City. You know, they've had all kinds of events going on last week with Greta and all that. By the way, I tracked her when she was going from England to here on her sailboat and all that. I watched all of that. But my daughter works for the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. Okay, they're the guys that are known for the happiness index. And they also do other things, which is they worked on 17 worldwide sustainable development goals. And every year they publish basically a scorecard. So this right here is the 2019 report by this organization. It's run by Dr. Jeffrey Sachs from Columbia University. That's where Hansen is as well. And the United States is number 35 out of 162 nations as far as sustainable development. On happiness, by the way, we used to be 18, we're now 19. And you know, if you take, there's another piece of info, if you look at taxation, and you look at all the nations who are doing well on happiness and sustainability, they're the ones that are high taxed the most. And by the way, we're number 32 on taxation. So the only final thing is, and I'll leave this for you guys to look at. Also, there's they just published this, my daughter handed it to me last night, so I didn't see much of it, but there's a roadmap to 2050, a manual for nations to decarbonize by mid-century. So if you guys want to look at that, here's the big picture view, okay? Don't think that you're islands unto yourselves. Let's use ideas from the big boys, okay? Ideas are not owned by somebody. Ideas are free, and let's use them as quickly as possible. And by the way, the final thing I will say is, enough. Enough studyitis, reportitis, pilotitis. Let's actually get a new disease which is called do-itis. Okay, let's do it.
I was going to speak about how all of us who are participating in Sustainable Connecticut can access community grants. So some of you, I think, well, who here is not, who is from a town that has not yet registered for Sustainable Connecticut? Okay, so there are a few, and you know, my town was late in getting registered. if you register, you don't have to be certified, but if your town registers, you are eligible for matching grants. And I went to a workshop recently that Sustainable Connecticut offered, and they went through the process. So it's summarized in the sheet that you all have in front of you, so I'm not going to really talk about it much, but I wanted to say that one thing, and then lunch is coming. So, but I also wanted to pre-introduce Holly, because Holly Charlesworth is going to tell us about Connecticut Green Building Council's program, G-Pro program. So some of you, I have taken this course. It's about buildings and maintenance and operations. Some of your town staff should probably be enrolling in this program, so Holly's going to tell you about that. But I just wanted to say that about Sustainable Connecticut's matching grant program, you can all go to ioby.org. That's in our backyard. That's in the sheet that is in front of you. This is a platform. It's like Kickstart or GoFundMe, but it's for civic projects, right? So if you work with Sustainable Connecticut and you get the green light on a project that you bring to them, you can do crowdsourcing for up to $25,000, and they will match that, another $25,000. So you could actually have a $50,000 project, like redoing your transfer station, or doing a master plan for a master energy plan or a master solar plan for your town with some of that money. I just wanted to say, and this may not be apparent on the website, ioby.org/sustainableCT. Only one project per town can be approved, and already there are fistfights in my town. It's like whose project is going to be submitted. Kathy, did you want to say something?
I spoke to the administrator explicitly around that question.
Yeah.
And they said a municipality as a municipality can submit one project.
Right.
But other groups, grassroots groups and nonprofits from that town can also submit.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So you would only get match funds for one program, but that's not to prevent, as I understand it, I could be wrong, that's not to prevent any nonprofit, a church, any kind of nonprofit to launch their own crowdfunding initiative. And there's just very small fees that are involved. So if you're in your town, your preferred energy project doesn't get approved, that doesn't mean that you're stuck, because you can do your own crowdfunding right alongside the Sustainable Connecticut one.